Hey guys, welcome to Journal Club number 6, the last one, yay! So my article is a strength-based intervention to increase participation in leisure activities in children with neuropsychiatric disabilities, a pilot study. As we know, being able to participate in leisure activities is essential for health and well-being across the lifespan. Specifically for children, it helps them discover their identity, find a sense of belonging, and it gives them a chance to achieve goals. Additionally, they can feel a sense of mastery and they can experience increased efficacy, self-efficacy. Children with neurodevelopmental disorders like ASD or ADHD experience limitations in participation. The article mentions that research on limitations in leisure activities done already mostly focus on physical disabilities, which is why they wanted to focus on participation in leisure activities of children with neurodevelopmental disorders. This study was a pilot study with a single subject A-B design, which measured the subject's perceived performance ability, satisfaction with performance, and self-efficacy in addition to actual goal attainment as a result of the intervention. This means they measured everything that I just said before and after the intervention. Participants for this study included children with neurodevelopmental disorders ages 11 to 14. They either had to have no intellectual impairment at all or only mild intellectual impairment. And they had to have a family or a support system that would commit to supporting the child throughout the intervention. The reason that the children had to have none at all or mild intellectual impairments was so that participants could participate in the assessment, identify important goals of the intervention, and participate in group discussions. 10 children from Sweden fit the criteria and were invited. 7 were not interested due to lack of time. 3 agreed, but 1 dropped out after 3 weeks due to needing extra tutoring. 2 participants were given pseudonyms of the names of John, who's age 12, and he is diagnosed with ASD and ADHD, and Charlie, age 14, who is diagnosed as high-functioning ASD. John complained about no organized leisure activities to be able to participate in, and Charlie's mom wanted him to work on improving social skills. The participants completed a child-centered goal setting process and completed a goal scale. The intervention took place over 8 weeks and included 7 group meetings that occurred once a week and each lasted an hour and a half. The weekly group discussions, there were weekly discussions and evaluation of goals and strategies with the therapist and the children to ensure that they had a sense of control and that the strategies for goal achievement were possible to them. They used 3 assessments and 1 outcome tool in this study. The children, the first one's called the Children's Assessment of Participation and Enjoyment / Preferences for Activities of Children, which is really long, and it stands for CAPE-PAC. And then the other one that they used was a goal attainment scale, the COPM, and then they also used the children had to estimate self-efficacy using a Likert scale of, 1, I'm not able to attain the goal at all, to 5 being I'm without a doubt very able to attain the goal. So the CAPE-PAC assesses participation, and the goal attainment scaling is used for individual goal setting and is structured for a way to record goal achievement. During the intervention, the children worked with different strategies to achieve their goals with the therapist, their parents, and alone within their home or the setting of the specific activity. The strategies, duration, and frequency of practice was recorded at group meetings by both the therapist and the child using logbooks. The children also recorded their experienced enjoyment of using the strategies during the intervention. So during weekly group sessions, the children had to record one positive and one negative experience with their interventions. This was done to stimulate the child's autonomy and self-reflection of performance, and to kind of assess and see the child as competent with their problem-solving abilities. In the group session, they discussed the issues and topics and then gave and received feedback on the strategies as a group. Then for 20 minutes, they participated in kind of like social skills training as a group, like how to be a good friend, how to contact a peer, and what activities could I do with a friend together. At the very end, they finished with 30 minutes of video gaming to allow for interaction between the two participants and to reward them for participating in the group discussion. For the methodology, they administered the assessments and outcome tool, and then therapists carefully inventoried the child's abilities, such as activity competence, preferences, and environmental barriers. Repeated baseline measures were conducted twice a week with the COPM and self-efficacy estimation for chosen goals, and collected in total for 10 weeks, 2 weeks being baseline and 8 weeks being intervention. They repeated these tests at the end of the 10 weeks. The GAS scales was evaluated by a therapist that was actually not part of the intervention, so it was kind of like an independent person evaluating to see if they actually attained their goals. Repeated measures were then plotted, and the researchers used visual inspection such as level, variability, trend, and slope. They used the visual inspection to compare patterns in baseline data and intervention data to determine the effect of the intervention. Descriptive statistics was used for the rest of the data. So at the baseline, John participated in social activities with high diversity but low frequency, meaning he did a bunch of various things, but not very often, and most of the time it was with his family, and he didn't do any activity with friends. Enjoyment rating was highest with recreational activities, and his highest preference was for physical activities. He chose the physical activities to work on as inline skating and jujitsu. He rated his ability as not able to attain the goal, and self-efficacy for inline was I am able. In the study, you can see the exact like numbers that match up with it, while jujitsu was rated as I am quite able, which is a higher number. I believe it was 3 and 4, so it was an interesting thing to see the difference in the numbers. Charlie participation in social activities and then recreational activities were done with his family or alone. He playing cards and computers were done with his friends. His highest preference was social activities, followed by self-improvement activities. His estimated performance ability was 8, and his self-efficacy was I am able to attain the goal. And his goal was to have a pen pal, which is why, he rated his highest preference as social activities. After the intervention, their performance and self-efficacy ratings increased over time. They put a graph in the study to kind of see the lines trend upwards. They succeeded in attaining leisure goals based off the goal attainment scale by achieving +2 on one of the goals and then +1 on the other 2 goals. The parents at the end completed questionnaires which indicated if the intervention had been efficient for improving participation in leisure activities, and kind of asked some other interview questions that you can read about in this study to kind of get a sense of how the parents felt. And the parents felt that it had been efficient, and they reported that they kind of felt their children were being more social. The study concluded that a larger sample is required to confirm the results of the intervention that they found from the pilot study. The client-centered approach can enhance goal attainment. It's definitely something that is seen within this study. And also that therapists need to learn and apply strategies in order to motivate the child and allow them to kind of work with you on the strategies so that they can have an understanding of the intervention process and also support the child in decision making. So for critique, I found this article really relevant because previous research was mostly stuck to limitations due to physical impairments. This article is definitely trustworthy. It's part of Occupational Therapy International, and it was completed with occupational therapists. There's good generalizability throughout, and it could be used and applied within the neurodevelopmental community. Um, there is clinical importance because this is highly important for OT to work on leisure exploration to help children engage with others, improve their self-efficacy and sense of mastery. So this is definitely a very relevant article to OT to kind of keep in mind when choosing interventions. You want to kind of make sure that you're seeing what the child is wanting to accomplish beyond just things like ADLs in school, because leisure is important for mental health and well-being. Thanks, guys.